Welcome to Modern Musings, conversations with the maiden, mother, and crone, where we look at ourselves and the world through the lens of the 21st century. Hi, and welcome back. I'm your hostess, Cindy Murray, and I am here today with my co-hosts, Amber Jones and Kristen Blakely.
Hello.
And I just want to let you know that Amber's going to sound kind of funny. Amber sounds funny, don't you, Amber? Because Amber is doing a call-in with us right now. We have some icy, snowy weather down here in Texas, and she lives about an hour away from us, and we did not want to risk her driving in to do these recordings. So for the next couple of weeks, we'll be recording her remotely on it. So she's calling in on her phone. So that's why she sounds different than she usually does. But hey, we're just glad to have her, aren't we?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
As you may or may not know, we are three women who have very different life paths, and we're in different stages of our lives, and we are coming together to share with you our various and assorted takes on whatever our topic of the day is. And we really enjoy debating the differences in our opinion, or sometimes agreeing on opinions, but we wanted to share them with you, and we hope you'll like and subscribe and enjoy today's episode. So today we are talking about what constitutes cheating. And I intended this to be primarily about romantic relationships, because we're in February, and we've got Valentine's coming up. Yeah. But Kristen made a very valid point that there's all kinds of cheating, so we may delve into that as well. But we've been kind of going with our theme of, we're kind of going with a theme of romantic to start with. And my question to you and to our audience is, what constitutes cheating? And I have this friend who once told me that if you go out to dinner with someone of the opposite sex without your spouse, then you are cheating on them. If you have a friendship with someone of the opposite sex, you are cheating on them. And I don't agree with that, and I'll explain reasons why later, but I want to open that up also by saying that when this person said this to me, they were also not considering that the person that you could be cheating with could be the same sex. So I want to just put it out there that if you are having she said if you go to dinner with a male friend, or a male coworker or whatever, that you are cheating on your husband, that you should not have those kind of relations. You should not have relationships with those people outside of your marriage. And so that's my question. What do you think constitutes cheating? Is it simply going out to dinner? Is that cheating on your spouse? Or does it entail something much more like intent? Or does it have to be physical? Does it have to be a physical contact for it to be cheating? So what do you guys think?
Well, okay, so the whole did you go to dinner with this person? I'm kind of stuck on that because it's kind of like is it a work dinner? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like there are different kinds of dinners.
Right.
Well, if you go to dinner with your boss, is that cheating? Is it like a working dinner?
Right. Right. Well, this person insisted that if you went to dinner like that you should take your husband with you, or another coworker or something like that. And I'm like, there's lots of people who have business dinners all the time, and it has nothing to do with it takes nothing away from the relationship with their spouse or their significant other or whatever. in part, I think it has to do with the intent. What is the intention of this?
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I know for my fact, I've had male friends my whole life, friends who were really good friends that I could talk to just like I talk to my girlfriends now. And there was no romantic relationship or sexual relationship in any way, shape, or form on my part. Now, what the other person felt, I don't know.
Right.
I can only go by what they told me, and
Mhm.
and I have to assume that we were just friends because it was completely platonic.
I think that's the part that makes it where you can intentionally or unintentionally cross the line.
Right.
The whole idea though is that you go with intent or without the intent.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're going without the intent, are you unintentionally putting yourself in a position?
Well, yeah, there
Right?
is that. There is that too, and I will. Yes.
So, from a psychological perspective, if y'all would like to hear, so from a psychological perspective, you know me.
yeah.
There are and there are lots of different types of cheating or whatever, but I wouldn't say the most common would be emotional
Yes, because there
and
and I will have some examples of that too. Yeah.
and physical,
Yeah.
of course. So we talked about that, and then there's also now this day and age, online
Right.
cheating.
Well, and I think the online falls into either
Emotional and
emotional
sexual.
or physical
Yeah.
or both. Yeah.
And
So-
then there's also what is considered micro cheating, gray area. So and that would also be kind of like like gaslighting type thing. Like keeping someone on standby would be considered
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Like
yes.
one shoe in,
yeah,
one shoe
like
out.
micro
Yeah.
cheating.
Yes.
Like talking to someone with keeping someone on the side, like
Yeah.
a quote unquote friend or whatever.
Oh, or staying friends with an ex-boyfriend just in case.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
And I have examples of friends that have done that. Lying about who you're talking to.
Yes.
Flirting
Yeah. Well,
but saying, oh, it's harmless.
okay. So the thing. Okay, I'll have to back up to flirting because there is an old adage that just because you're on a diet doesn't mean you can't read the menu. And that means, just because I am married or in a committed relationship doesn't mean that I can't appreciate the beauty or sexuality or sensuality and I'm just talking about appreciate of another person. And
when you
and there is
appreciate, you
innocent
look at.
there is innocent flirting. And I don't consider that cheating because it has to do with intent. Are you intending to develop a relationship with that person that you're flirting with?
I guess you'd have to define what you mean by flirting.
Right.
Because catcalling that's disturbing to me. And when you said that, I wrinkled my nose.
Okay, catcalling is not flirting. Catcalling is a form of misogynistic
some
behavior.
people think that catcalling is flirting.
Well, because they're misogynist. Men are the
Women
ones who
also catcall.
Well, there are
Women
different
catcall, too.
degrees of
It's not just
flirting.
men.
Yeah.
There are different degrees of flirting. Flirting, you could send a flirtatious looking picture to someone.
That is not flirting.
But some people say it is.
That is not flirting. If you're sending a sensual photo to someone, that is a step beyond
I think she
flirting.
just means what if someone sent me a picture of a bouquet of flowers and said, "Good morning, beautiful."
That's not flirting.
if they're single.
Well, it
and-
depends. But that's
See,
there.
it's
But are you
circumstantial.
flirting with them? That's not you flirting with them.
No, I'm
that's
just
them
saying,
flirting with you.
Right, but turn the table around. That's what I'm saying. I receive it, okay. But if I'm doing it, right,
If you're doing it,
that's what
then
I'm saying.
But
it's
yes.
intentional.
Yes, it's intent. That's always the thing. But if someone sends you a picture of a bouquet of flowers and says, "Good morning, beautiful," and you just accept it politely, that is not
But at what point does continuing to
when your
accept it-
intention
Okay,
is
so
to
like
keep
a-
that
if-
person on the line.
Okay, so like if somebody sends you the bouquet of flowers and says, "Good morning, beautiful," and then you're like, okay, and you accept it, okay, cool. But then your spouse or boyfriend, girlfriend, or whoever sees it and they take it the wrong way.
Right.
Exactly.
Well, that's jealousy, and that's a totally different thing. And that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the person committing the act.
but that person may feel like that because
and
you
there are
didn't
people-
Yeah.
shoot
Well,
it down.
Okay, I just pulled up Google's perspective on Google AI says that flirting is a form of social communication, verbal, written, or physical, intended to express romantic or sexual attraction or to create a playful, intimate, and exciting interaction. It acts as a signaling mechanism for interest, often using humor, teasing, and body language to build connection, evaluate attraction, or spark romance. So, flirting, by their thing, is anything with the intention of creating that interaction. So, if the person sends you flowers, he is flirting. If you accept the flowers, that is not considered flirting, even if your spouse sees the flowers. So there's the difference. But I do know people who say flirting is cheating. I think it has to do with the intention, and I think you have to stop and ask yourself, why am I interacting with this person in this way?
And I would also go on to say that not nipping that behavior in the bud.
It can progress. But,
Exactly.
But it's not
opens
necessarily
the door to
it does.
unwanted
sexual
solicitation.
or solicitation
Right, exactly.
or whatever. Yeah.
So for me, like if I saw over and over again some woman sending my husband, Teddy
Yes.
Grahams, right?
Right. Well, and
then
you're-
and not saying stop, I'm married or something like that, I would be
Yeah.
upset because
well, and that's
there's the
it's-
line between just receiving it and ignoring it, and then
So it is a thing for, like you're, for instance, you see some woman sending hot messages to your husband.
Mhm.
It is up to your husband or whatever,
Mhm.
or the recipient of that attention
right.
to set the boundaries for what that relationship is.
Mhm.
Again, we're
Okay,
back to
so
intention.
what if yeah, and exactly, and what if I don't know, like your husband or whoever is not setting that boundary, if they're just
If
like
they're not-
enjoying it.
If they're not setting the boundary and they're allowing it to continue, then because
They're participating in
they're
that.
participating in it, and that's what sets the intention. So
Yeah.
So I think it comes back to that, and it's like you have to ask yourself, why is that person allowing this to continue? And there's usually two reasons: either they want that attention for themselves because they have the intention of
Mhm.
being they want that interest,
They're either the bait or the fisher.
or
Mhm.
they are trying to make their significant other jealous. And if that, and in either case, it is a sign of a not very healthy relationship, because it's one thing to just, I'm thinking flirting being a flirt, because there are people who are just flirts and they flirt with
Yeah.
everybody indiscriminatorily. And
Yeah.
so they smile at every coworker, they help out their coworkers, male, female, whatever, and that can be taken as flirting. Is if it's
I don't
indiscriminatory
know.
and
I
they're
feel
doing it.
like
Being a
I
nice
get where you're
person
coming
makes you
from. I feel
possibly a flirt.
Well, yeah,
what?
Kristen's right. She said being a nice person makes you possibly a flirt.
See,
But
and
I
then
think,
there's that also. Like that's different. Being
okay,
nice and smiling
but
and
that's
helping
that's the
people. That's
distinction.
different.
It's the intention. So in doing that, if you're doing it with everyone, with all the guys, if you just flirt and your intention is not to attract them or to attract their reciprocal behavior, and it's not to make someone else jealous, if you're just doing it because you're nice and you like people and you feel confident in yourself, then that flirting is just innocent flirting. So there is innocent flirting. But
Yeah.
if your intention becomes, I'm doing this because I want everybody to flirt back with me, or I want this guy to be jealous of me, then that is the intention. And that's where it borders on cheating and can become cheating. And then you talk about, so that's what you're calling the micro cheating, which it's not really micro cheating, it's flirting.
Well, you didn't let me finish. It was
Okay.
like the micro cheating was like flirting and then saying that it's harmless, that it's nothing.
That's gaslighting.
Well, if
That's what I was saying. The micro cheating is kind of like gaslighting.
No, because it goes back to the intention. If you're intending to gaslight somebody, then yes, it is gaslighting. But if your intention is just honest, just being nice to people, then it's not gaslighting
I think some
somebody.
people gaslight and they don't even realize it.
No,
Without
I don't
intending.
think so, because
I think it's just natural.
human nature.
defense
It is human
mechanism.
nature to make yourself be attractive to the opposite sex or whatever. It is human nature. It is human nature to interact with
No, I was
them.
saying it's just natural defense mechanism for narcissists to gaslight.
Narcissists
realize they
gaslight.
do it.
Narcissists gaslight. That is a narcissistic behavior. Yes, and I don't think that's and that goes back to that intent thing, because a narcissist believes that their own interests are more important than anybody else's, and they're just trying to make the other person jealous or feel less than. So it comes back to what is your intention? What is the intention of the person who is flirting? And then you go the step further, if the intent, and really of everything, it's the intention that counts. Because if you're carrying on like an online conversation with somebody over time, and maybe they're just a friend and maybe it turns romantic, then you did open yourself up to that. But that emotional connection with somebody, if you are using that as a replacement for the emotional connections you feel or you should feel with your spouse, then is that cheating?
Yes.
I have to agree that it is. Yeah, if you're, again, it's back to that intention. Are you intending to do that? And I don't know. It's a tricky thing. Like I said, I've had many male friends. I used to work. I went to school as an audio engineer. I was one of very few females in that field. I had lots of male friends. I was in rock band with my husband, and well, I mean, here's a perfect example. One of the members of the band flirted with me relentlessly. He flirted with me all the time, but he also flirted with every female that I ever saw. He was a bit of a narcissistic person, I think, and I believe, well, I have an understanding that he cheated on his spouse. I'm sure he probably would have cheated with me if I had been amenable to that, but he would flirt shamelessly in front of his wife, in front of my husband. But my intention was never, I did not flirt with him. So he was just a friend to me. And therefore, I don't think I did anything wrong. My husband didn't think I did anything wrong.
I think that a lot of that behavior where men shamelessly and flirt in front of other people, including their spouse, is also a way of showing their power over.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
It has nothing to do with the other person's interest level or, it's just manning over the other man and showing his wife that he's also manning over
it's like a
tiger or the deer in nature showing off. Peacock,
yes.
Total
It's
peacock
peacocking.
Behavior.
Yes. And a lot of, you get down to the science and of biology, it is in their nature to behave that way, to try to collect, to their little herd, their harem of women or whatever, because
and ensure that the other male animals fall in line behind them.
Yes. And so there are
Male
a lot of men
dominance.
who act like that.
And women do it too when they're doing the same.
When it's one woman and a lot of men. Yes.
Even
Oh,
if
yeah,
there's
women
multiple
do it a
women,
lot.
Yeah.
even with multiple women,
Oh, yeah.
women will flirt with the other woman that's present, her spouse, to
Oh, yeah, because they will flirt with all the women so that she has proven to herself that she has control of all. She's the alpha female.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I see what you're getting at. But yes, absolutely. I think you're correct. I don't think it's necessarily a sexual interest, though, or even necessarily cheating. I think it's a power
Yeah.
thing. It's a power.
Well, that
Struggle.
situation, it normally isn't a sexual
Right.
interest.
Right.
It is, like you said, she wants
Establishing
to be the
dominance.
prettiest girl in the room.
Yes. It's establishing
Or
dominance.
most
Mean girls.
desired, yes.
Mean girls, they want all the boys to fall in line behind them. And they want all the girls to fall in line behind them too, And so I really think that's a lot of what it is. And I don't think it's meant to make their mate jealous. I really don't think they're trying to make their mate jealous. I think they're just trying to establish their own power and their own power base. But let's get it back to cheating. Where does that line get drawn from? Like I said, I feel like it's the intention. What is your intention? Do you intend to carry this relationship further than that? Further than just flirting? Further than, what is your intention in this interaction or relationship or whatever? So, as I said, I had male friends. I had many male friends. I still do. I have no intention of ever having any sexual romantic relationships with any of them. So I feel like that would never be cheating. Now, I could inadvertently put myself in a position where I was a victim of assault. I don't think that's cheating either. Even though I put myself in that position, which let me stop this right there by saying, I don't think any woman deserves it. She can wear what she wants to wear. She can flirt with whoever she wants to flirt, and that does not give someone the right to violate her. And so an assault is an assault, no matter what you flirted, said, did, whatever. If you said no, it's no. So no, I don't think that is cheating. But, if you put yourself in a situation with a female, like you're a man and you put yourself in a situation with a female coworker, and the female coworker is always coming on to you, different than flirting, coming on to you, and you're not setting those boundaries, and you wind up in a sticky situation, is that cheating? I think it is.
Well, yeah, if you give in and allow
Right.
yourself to be in that
Right.
situation, it is,
Or,
yeah.
and what if it's just a purely emotional thing? Like, this is a coworker, and you start talking to them about your wife, and you're talking to them.
Then yes, it's cheating. You're emotionally involved.
That's what I agree there too. What about you, Kristen? Do you have?
So I think that this is where you have to be in a very communicating. Sorry, I can't word today. You need to be open with your communication with your partner on what both of your levels of understanding are
Yeah.
of what cheating is and
Mhm.
what constitutes, that type of betrayal.
Right.
Not fully understanding your partner's needs
Well, that's a problem too.
is
because
the biggest problem there,
Yeah, because
because
that's what-
unintentionally doing things will cause your partner to feel that you've betrayed them. But if you don't know what their boundaries are and where they draw the line, you
Right.
could accidentally cross that line and not even know it
right
until
and,
it's too late.
and likewise, by not understanding and
Right.
your spouse or partner's needs,
Mhm.
you may be driving them into a position where they feel the need to seek out
Right.
that.
Here's a case
relationship.
in point. I know that if I were to go out to dinner with a friend and not invite my husband, he would feel left out.
Okay.
And so if I went intentionally without telling him,
without telling him, though.
Exactly.
That's
without telling
him or without inviting him.
exactly, both,
Okay.
then that would be cheating because I intentionally didn't invite
Well, you
him.
withheld information.
Exactly.
There. That's different.
And that's the part that's cheating.
But I have been out to dinner with men and did not invite my husband, and it had
Did he
nothing.
know
But
about
you
it?
already knew your husband's boundaries there.
Right.
Your husband is not the same as my husband. I'm
But-
saying
but
I
even-
understand
yeah.
that in my relationship,
Right.
that this particular husband that I have,
Yeah.
his feelings would be hurt
Right.
if I didn't invite him.
Right.
Just
Even if it was
sheer-
work, even if
in-
it was your boss at work.
Because I would tell him before I went, I'm going to eat dinner with my boss. It's work related.
Well, then that's not. But that's two
That's
different
what I'm
things.
saying. No,
That-
I'm saying if I didn't invite him or have a discussion with him,
Okay.
he would feel
But
left out.
inviting him and telling him about it are two different things. So
Okay.
I
So-
would never go to a meal. Assuming I was still married, I would have never gone out to any meal without telling my husband, male, female, whatever. There's that. So if you're
Right.
hiding what you're doing,
Exactly.
if you're not being honest about what you're
and
doing,
that's what the
that-
micro cheating is.
right. But
Yeah,
but
evasion.
right, but
Just to avoid the conversation
To-
about it is
right.
also considered
but
cheating.
but just going to dinner with them, telling them I'm going on a work dinner. This is my work thing. You can't come
Well, if
because it's
if
work.
you
That is not
tell-
cheating.
Right.
Well, no.
So-
If you told Mark, "Hey, I'm going on a work dinner with my coworker who is a male, and we're going to discuss work. We're doing work things. It's a work dinner, and Mark's like, okay, cool.
Right.
And it's not.
And that's the difference, because I wouldn't invite my husband to something that's not related to him.
Right.
Like it's
Yeah,
work.
But you were
I
presenting
would
it
also,
as the same thing. You said if I didn't do it
right,
and I didn't
but
invite
maybe
him.
because I would never go out to eat with my male coworker if it wasn't work related. But that's just me. Like,
right. But the point is that you can go to dinner with them.
oh, but I never would. I think that's the difference, though.
Well, but you could have a work dinner with a male coworker, and it is not cheating.
If it was work related.
Yeah, that's what
but
I'm talking
I would
about.
absolutely not
Yeah.
go.
But this
Like,
person
if
is
you
like,
just
you should
go-
never be alone with a man of the opposite sex. And I'm like,
Well, I mean,
or
like if you just go and hang out with, like, and this is my thought.
Maybe
is
I'm
like,
different
say,
than
like
y'all.
if you just go and hang out with somebody that's like, that's opposite sex or whatever, or especially, or someone that you flirted with before or something, and you don't tell your husband and they're not okay with you doing that, then that's kind of cheaty like.
That's cheaty like. So, and maybe that's the difference, because I would never go out to dinner with a male just for funs without my husband.
I probably
I would
wouldn't
take
either.
my husband with me. Like, that's
Yeah.
no fun to not
If
bring
it's-
my other half.
If it's for fun, yeah. If I, okay, here's a perfect example. If someone from my past, maybe not even necessarily an ex-boyfriend, but a classmate showed up and said, "Hey, I'm in town. Let's go to dinner."
Nope.
I
wouldn't
would
go
not
if
go
other
to dinner
people
with
were
that
there.
person
Nope.
without my husband. I would invite my husband.
Exactly.
Now, if my husband said, "Nah, I'm not interested," I might go. I might not go. It depends, because I don't know.
Well, if they
But-
say go ahead and go, then it's not cheating because
It's
they're
not
giving you
cheating,
permission.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
And
You
it's the
invited.
intention. Yeah.
You opened it up
Right.
for discussion.
But
I think that's the piece that I'm trying to reiterate.
yeah,
is that
yeah. It's not that you can't go to dinner with someone without your husband, without inviting you can go to dinner with a man without inviting your husband. But if you're disguising the fact that that's what you're doing, then you cannot. I'm not talking about notifying your husband. I'm talking about inviting. Notifying and inviting is two different things, because I saw your face there.
because I
There-
don't know. I just
there
wouldn't
are. I mean, I have. Okay, stop
in
and
real
think
life.
about.
I can't think
Okay,
of
here's
any.
a perfect example. I have clients.
That's work related.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. And you keep going, "No, I wouldn't do that."
Because I wouldn't go. Because you make it sound like I would go to have dinner with my boss, unwork related.
I didn't say unwork related. I'm not talking about that. I
Okay.
never put that in there. I said, would you go to dinner with your boss without inviting your husband? It would not, it doesn't have to, it's the intention. Again, it's the intention. Are you going for work-related things? Then it's fine. You would not invite your husband to a work dinner. I don't invite my husband to go meet with my clients, right? Male or female. I don't. He's not part of that picture. I can go have dinner with a male client to discuss their group cruise that we're taking, or whatever, and sit and work. And it has nothing to do with cheating. The relationship is purely a work relationship. But this friend says you can't go at all because you're putting yourself in danger of cheating. And I'm like, no, I don't think so.
I can see that in some cultures, though. So we do have to put aside that American current female culture is
This
that's
not.
acceptable.
This is an American who's saying this. So.
Exactly. So you also have to remember that we're only a small percentage of the world, and a larger percentage of the world actually disagrees with that statement that women should not be unaccompanied by a male.
By a male.
They're either accompanied by their father or their brother or a male
and
cousin.
that is more religious, more conservative,
that doctrine. Yes.
very conservative societies, like some parts of the Muslim world or whatever. Mostly, most of the modern Western civilization does not agree with that, And so,
I don't know. There are some
There's
American.
still
I
American
mean, yeah.
cultures that believe that, though.
I mean, Mormons.
Yes,
but they
exactly.
are a conservative religious group.
Right. That's why I'm
Yeah.
saying this
Yeah.
belief that women.
But that is also a very
sector.
misogynistic view, because their view of that is that a woman alone with a man is tempting that man to have his way with her. And they put the blame on the woman for being with the man, and not put the responsibility of the man to have honest self-control. They take away the idea of the man having any self-control over his physical desire. So just because he's a man and he's alone with a young female, whatever, he's going to lose control and take advantage of her. And that's not a problem of cheating either. That is a problem of a very conservative culture that does not recognize the equality of men and women, basically. So, yeah, because they would never accuse a woman of doing that. It's only, they wouldn't,
because she comes chaperoned.
Well, yeah, but they would not say that the woman couldn't control herself and she had to have that man. But they will say that the man can't control himself and had to.
And therefore, another man who can control himself accompanies her.
Well,
yeah. I'm not going to argue their belief.
Well, I'm
but
not
I
either,
am
but
going to argue.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think it's cheating.
I am going to speak for it, though, because there's a large population of people who believe that would be cheating.
Yeah.
So I'm going to speak for those people since they're not on this call.
Yeah. Well, and you know what? If you have those beliefs, I would love for those people to write us and talk to us about it, because I want to understand why that is the fault of the female, or why it is cheating and not just assault, purely and simply assault. So yeah, I do. I would like those people to call in and talk about that. But so going back to what constitutes cheating, do you believe that an emotional cheater is a cheater? If you become emotionally involved with someone, if you're having those private conversations,
if you're like with the opposite sex and you're having or not even, or same sex, whatever, and you're having that conversation, and like you're married or you're dating someone, and you keep that from them, then yes, that's cheating.
Right. So here's another question for you. What if your spouse is okay with it?
If they're okay with it, then it's not cheating.
Then it's not even a question.
Okay.
It's not even an issue.
That's why I said you have to know your spouse.
Right.
And what those boundaries are.
Right. Okay.
And like you have to have a conversation about each belief. If one spouse believes that that's cheating, but the other one doesn't,
that's
like Kristen said, it's the same scenario.
And those are serious, conversations that all couples should have regardless.
Yeah.
When you start to become serious with another person, or you determine that you are exclusive, a
lot of people don't have that conversation.
No, they don't.
And you're correct. And that like leads to like some of the biggest like divorce and everything, is because people don't sit down and have the conversation about their limitations and their beliefs with their spouse.
They assume that their spouse is okay with it, and when their spouse isn't, they become defensive.
Right.
And then there's a disagreement about,
or they assume that their spouse knows how they feel about it, and or whatever. And I will say, Mark, that was one of the things that Mark and I did pretty right. And from the moment that we started dating, I was like, there's two things that cross the line for me, and I would I have forgiven them? I don't know, but my boundary was, you will not walk out on me. You will not leave me. If you leave me, you cannot come back. And number two, you will not cheat on me. If you cheat on me, that's it. It's over. And he never did, either one. Now, he did go get in his car and drive around a little bit and come back home. He did that. But he knew that it was unforgivable. That is unforgivable to me. Mm-hmm. And now I say, would I have forgiven him? I was married to the man for 35 years. I loved him with all my heart. And I probably would have taken him back with some therapy and, some marriage counseling. And it would take me a long time to get my trust in him back. But maybe I wouldn't have. I don't know. Because that's the core of it, is that if you're cheating on someone, you're breaking their trust. And you cannot have a real, authentic, honest, open relationship with someone if you don't have trust.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why I like reiterate, for the listeners, like y'all have to have these conversations.
Right. And it is. I think it's vague and it's varied, and what is cheating in one relationship may not be cheating in another. My husband didn't care if I flirted with people. He didn't care if I went out to dinner with people. He went out to dinner with people. He, I don't know that he flirted with people, but he probably did flirt with the girls at work because he was surrounded by girls all the time, at his job. But I, I knew who he came home to every day, and so there wasn't a problem there. So I don't know. When we talk about cheating, though, like Kristen mentioned, there is other kinds of cheating as well. Cheating on tests, cheating on work, cheating on gambling, whatever. Cheating when you're playing a game and things, and those things. I feel the same about that kind of cheating as I feel about relationship cheating. If you are having to cheat to play a game, you're missing the whole intention of the game. If you're having to,
okay. Let me ask if you're not supposed to use Chat GTP to do something, is that cheating if you do?
If you were told you're not supposed to use it, if
And
the
you did it
rules of
anyways.
engagement are that you can't use it and you use it, then yes, that is cheating.
Okay, yeah.
If you look on your neighbor's test and write down their answers on your test, that is cheating. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, kids today are just so morally gray.
Well, they are, but that's the thing. Kids have cheated on tests for eternity, but I think it comes back to that same thing. It's intention. If you knowingly break the rule or do something and keep it a secret, knowing that it would be frowned upon, then that is cheating. If you're playing a card game and you slip a card up in your sleeve and you pull it out at the next opportune moment, that is cheating. Even if the rules don't specifically say you can't keep cards in your pocket, right? You would consider that cheating, right? So
that's like a moral code right there, especially like if you're gambling.
Right. So,
cards in your pocket.
But cheating is a moral code, and that's the thing. And it's like I said, I look at all kinds of cheating. If you're doing it to subvert the rules, if you're doing it with that intention to get something out of it that you're not getting by playing by the rules, then that constitutes cheating. Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have anything to add to that, Kristen? I mean, do you? I mean, because you were the one who brought up the point of other kinds of cheating. So I didn't know if you had.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking along the lines of test taking and playing games.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the two times when people say, you cheated. I think also like in the work environment, there's times when people may cheat by,
Finding a shortcut.
taking.
No?
So no, shortcuts sometimes are good things for business,
Mm-hmm.
but cheating in that sense would be not telling other people and letting other people fail.
Yeah. Okay. So
So
that you
if
can
you
be
found a shortcut so that you could win at whatever, so you get the promotion and other people don't.
Right.
Intentionally hurting other people so that you can win. Right?
Right.
That I think that's kind of what
It still
It's
goes
back
back
into
to the
attention.
intention. It is.
Attention,
It all
yeah.
goes back to intention. I was just thinking of cases where, what if you're in a game, and I pose this to you because you play your little video games and stuff. What if you found this little glitch in the game that allowed you to do something that maybe other people don't know about?
Exploiting a glitch. That is a very good one because yes, that can be considered cheating because you are exploiting something. But is it a glitch?
Or maybe it's
necessarily,
how do you know
or-
if it's a glitch? It might be just a feature of the game that nobody else
Exactly.
found. And so I don't consider that cheating because you
If you
found
share
a
it with other
Or when
people,
that's
yeah.
like the famous like cheat codes type thing, or like
yeah, they're created
like,
for a reason.
loopholes.
Yeah, if there's somebody gives you cheat codes for a game,
Oh,
is that cheating?
Yes, here's a great one. The Sims, right? Sims 2.
Uh-huh.
You could type in the little cheat code. It's called a cheat code, right?
Right.
Rosebud, everyone knows that one, and then you give yourself money in the game.
Right.
I used to do that all the time, but I played the game not to win the game. I played it to explore
And
and
enjoy
have
the
fun.
game. Yeah.
And so to me, I didn't consider it cheating. However, I would never build a house and then say that I bought all the stuff in the house by working hard at the game.
Right. Well, and again,
That
the
would be cheating.
The cheat code is built into the game
Exactly.
software, so it's not really a cheat. It's a
Right.
feature that you have found and exploited.
Yeah.
So that is not, it's just like maybe you're running in a maze and there's a race and you found a secret door that shortcuts.
Well, if the door was built in the maze, then it's
It's
not
not
a
a
cheat.
cheat. It's not a cheat.
Yeah.
And that again goes back to intention too. Is it a feature or are you, if you cut a
Well, if
hole
it's
in the
built- if
maze
it's
and went
built
through
into
it,
the game,
that
it's,
would-
Right.
it's intended to be used. So yeah, I know it wouldn't be a cheat. Now, like cheating example would be like getting like 3 video game consoles and playing under like 3 different, I don't know, people.
we know people who do that.
My husband has 3 phones and he plays his game with all 3
But you know
accounts.
what? He is legitimately playing all three.
Right.
yeah.
All three.
Well,
so
I guess like
so that's
I
not
don't
cheating
know.
either. He's actually doing more gaming than other people are. He is
I'm
actually
trying
actively
to
ahead.
figure out like where I was like coming from with this. It's
Mhm.
like, but you kind of understand what I'm trying to say, right? Like it, not necessarily like that kind of game, but like
Well, and see, here's a difference too. If the
it's
rules
like
of
when
the game,
people used to make like multiple Facebook accounts so they could play Farmville.
oh yeah,
Right. So, okay, here's a case in point. So, in our game that we play on our phones, you can have multiple accounts. It is allowed in the game.
it is allowed. That's
to
the
have-
thing. Is it allowed?
Yeah, you're allowed to have X number of accounts, right? So, how it is cheating is when you just are giving away the resources in that account to other players or selling them with real money.
Right.
That's considered
Okay,
cheating.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
that
don't-
would be
yeah,
cheating.
That's
I would also say that if it's a game that you're only allowed to have one account per person,
Mm-hmm.
and you
Sign up with a different address, mailing address or something,
Yes,
so
then
that you
that
can
is
have
cheating.
that would be cheating. Yeah.
that would be cheating. I think so.
So it's all about knowing what is right, and then choosing
to do it anyway.
It's about the choice.
Okay.
That's where that intention
here's another
that
perfect
choice.
thing. Scratch off lotto cards or lotto tickets.
You can cheat on those?
Well, yeah. Here's the thing. What if your 16-year-old wants a lotto card, so you buy it for him because you're an adult, but he's not allowed to buy it because he's not of age. And then he wins, but you claim it in your name for him.
Well, I mean, they are your child. That's like giving them alcohol.
Well, it's cheating.
And then
it's breaking the rule. It's cheating.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Or maybe you're only okay. Here's another one. What do you call it? Okay, there's a sale going on at the grocery store, and there's a limit of 4 packs of Coke per purchase per day. If you go to another store and do the same thing, or if you bring your minor child with you to the store and they do it, is that cheating?
I mean,
or,
I could see where that kind of does, because you're still bringing in more Cokes to your household. So here, and this is where, okay.
It's vague.
It is in the choice that you make, and this is where God decides, right? We leave it up to God, because, Beanie Babies at McDonald's, right? So this is where I chose not to, quote unquote, cheat. So same thing with the turkeys, right? At Christmas, the grocery store said buy $125 with groceries and you get a free turkey. My husband and I are pushing around a shopping cart buying our groceries. Right. And we have enough groceries to literally get 2 turkeys.
2 turkeys, yeah.
Right?
And you could have put them in a separate basket
and got 2 separate carts, and we could have even charged it on 2 separate cards, right? But I chose not to exploit the goodwill of the grocery store. Mm-hmm. So in those, I feel like that is where cheating is going. Would you want someone else to do that to you? And when you choose and you say, no, I wouldn't want someone else to do that to me, but you arrogantly choose to do it anyways, right? That's that arrogance word you were talking about, where you feel like you're above the rules.
Above the rules,
when you choose to make that decision and you put action in, then you are cheating. Mm-hmm. That is absolutely cheating. When you know in your heart, or you say, like, I wouldn't want that to happen to me, whether it's a rule or not. When you do it to others, that is when it's cheating.
Yeah, and it all comes back to intention.
Yeah,
and whether you think the rules apply to you or not. I don't have to. That doesn't apply to me. Yeah. Okay, here's another good example, because I see this one all the time. You go cash your paycheck, and you realize that the cashier gave you $100, an extra $100 bill. At what point does keeping that $100 bill become cheating?
It's the same thing. You know that it's wrong, and you would want someone to give you back your $100.
So, okay. So what if you got all the way home when you realized it? Is that still?
This, I'm glad you're asking this, because this actually happened to me yesterday.
It has happened a lot.
I had to go to the grocery store.
Yeah, that's happened to me before, too.
And this isn't even as quantifiable as a $100 bill, but... they always say bottom of basket, Bob, at the grocery store. I failed to Bob last night at the grocery store.
Oh.
And because we usually don't put stuff at the bottom, we just stick it in the cart. And I actually, Scott was bagging up the groceries and putting them in the bags, because we go to Winco where you have to bag your own groceries. And we got out to the car, and he goes, I never saw the cranberry juice. I swore we put some in the basket. And then I was like, oh my gosh, it's at the bottom. And I looked down, and it was there at the bottom of the basket. And it was icy. And I was like, I'm not going back inside to pay for that. However, I am, next time we buy cranberry juice, I'm going to tell him just to scan it twice. because we were already loaded up in the car, and I was
Right.
like, you know what?
Because it's an
It's
intention.
icing, it's going, and I know that. Like I said that, I'm going to go and buy 2 next time, but just, y'all scan twice, but only take 1.
Yeah.
Because I can't live with the fact that I accidentally stole cranberry juice. But if
Right.
someone else did that to me, I would hope that they would come back
and tell
pay
me,
for
oh,
it.
Here, I
Yeah.
brought, I'll bring
Yeah.
it back to you, or I pay for it. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's where that intention is. If somebody accidentally took $200 instead of $100, or I accidentally overpaid them, I would hope that they would pay me back.
Right.
And that's,
Yeah.
I don't know. I have 2 little like things I was thinking of when we were talking about,
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
understanding like your spouse in the relationship. And hopefully if you're still like on the fence about what you would constitute as cheating, with your spouse, maybe take these affirmations as
yeah.
something that, would help you. So, the first one was, I respect my husband too much to entertain anything that would quietly disrespect him. So
quietly
disrespecting that touches on those micro cheating or
Yes.
anything that would possibly be plausible, right?
Right. So, and there's a lot of vagary there. But definitely very specific to a specific relationship.
Yeah. And any relationship. Like, I respect my mother too much to entertain, or I respect my job too much to quietly disrespect it, right?
Right. And so that goes with like writing extra time on your timesheet, or working or playing while you're on the clock.
Right.
Because a lot of people do that. Not working
yeah.
while you're on the clock. And, Dave Ramsey has talked about this a lot too,
Mm-hmm.
about when you're at work, you should be at work and you should be doing what you're supposed to be doing. Because if you're not, you're cheating your boss out of that hourly wage that they are paying you to do that work. Yeah.
Very good point of cheating.
Yeah.
And then here's the other one. So I don't put myself in situations I'd have to explain later.
Oh,
so knowing, again, what those boundaries are and what those respects are, if I know that might be questionable, I wouldn't go to it, or I wouldn't touch on it. So loyalty isn't just what you avoid, it's what you don't entertain.
Right.
And then I really liked this one because it's about boundaries. I don't play near the edge of something I value, right?
Oh,
I would never juggle, my most prized possession in the air with the potential of dropping it. So I would never put it in a position to drop it.
Right.
Yeah. So if something needs to be hidden, then I already know what my answer is.
That's a good one. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, and that goes the same with tests, right? If you wouldn't want everyone to know in the light of day that you looked at your neighbor for the answer to get where you got, then it's cheating.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
I agree. Well, thank you, Kristen. Those were actually very good and very they kind of go with what we were talking about. It's about the intention behind the act. So I love that. I do. Okay. Well, I think this has been a really good episode. In the long run, I think in a lot of ways we kind of came to the same conclusion, even though it took us kind of some roundabout ways to get there. And the big takeaway is just know the situation and know, have open communication with your spouse, or understand what the rules are, what the boundaries are in any situation, and know what your intentions are. So I love this. I thank you very much. And Amber, thanks for calling in.
Yeah.
And we'll hopefully this weather will clear up and we'll have some more in-person recordings soon. And anyway, that's it for this week. Next week, I believe Kristen is our hostess, And what are we talking about next week,
So
Kristen?
next week we're talking all about The Bachelor and The Bachelorette.
Oh, I have a lot to talk about there. Okay, so thanks for listening. Please like and subscribe. Go over to our blogs and listen and check out the blogs. Usually, I have a blog there. There's usually some heard it on the podcast links. I don't think I have any for this episode, but you can find some links from some of our previous episodes, and you can also find some of our previous episodes that maybe you haven't listened to yet. And we also invite you to join our conversation by heading over to MMC Chat, which is the group we set up on Facebook for our Modern Musings Facebook page. And if you just look up the letters MMC and the word chat, it should pull up our group, and you can join us there and have that conversation with us. And we would love to hear from you. You can also send us emails at info@modernmusings.net. And you can, in fact, find us on the web at modernmusings.net. So you have a great week. We'll be back next week with info about The Bachelor and The Bachelorette, or a discussion, I should say.
Yeah, no updates
no
there.
Updates. Yeah, we have no secret insider info. And we'll be back then. Bye.
Bye.